Good morning, everybody. Hey, welcome to this Friday, the 23rd of February. Hey, coming off a great day yesterday, one of the best days we've had in over a year, with the markets going gangbusters after NVIDIA's reporting yesterday. We got more reports coming out today. We'll go through those and more when Dave joins us here in just a few seconds. Hey, before we do that, though, let's not forget that there are so many things in this world that you and we have no control over. But you can take control of your investment portfolio. But you need to know a couple things. You need to know how much risk you have in your current portfolio, and you need to know how much risk you should have in that portfolio based on your risk tolerance and how close you are to retirement. That's why I developed the core retirement design. Give me a call, 863-382-0037 to schedule your core retirement analysis. It's simple, it's fast. Give us a call. And we got Dave coming up next.
Singing lead there with no doubt at your 105.7 Light FM. Hey, good morning. It's 18 here before 9. This is when we check in on your money and find out what Wall Street's doing for us. And today it looks like it definitely was a case of doing something for us yesterday. Good Lord, was it party time. Let's check in with Phillip Statler from Statler Financial Services and see whether or not he had a party last night after the close. Phillip, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Dave. Doing well today. It is Friday. Yesterday, though, was a barn burner day to the upside, and it was probably, I think, one of the best days we've had in over a year.
You know, when you get all three indexes going up like a skyrocket like this, it was amazing. The Dow sounded most impressive. It was up 457 points, but that was only 1.18%. Standard & Poor's was up over 2%, up 105. And NASDAQ, I was absolutely amazed, up 461 points, the better part of 3%. New record on the Dow. New record close on the Standard & Poor's, and NASDAQ was actually in record territory and just backed up a little bit before the close, or we would have had a record close on NASDAQ that I figured was probably going to end up being probably another 3 or 4 months out before we grew NASDAQ that far. All of a sudden, NVIDIA seems like kind of a magic word, doesn't it?
It definitely does, Dave. The markets took off on the news of NVIDIA yesterday. So it was good for all the indexes moving up yesterday. And, of course, the VIX was heading down yesterday.
And, of course, the broadest of all, the NYSE number, it hit a new record as well before the close of the day, and then it backed up a little bit, too. If you want the broadest of all measures that we got in New York, the overall NYSE index was also up. It was a ridiculously good day. And I've always said those days scare me because they have a tendency to encourage profit-taking days the day after them.
Well, yeah, it does, or at least shortly after anyway. I don't see a profit taking coming today because I think we still got some decent news coming out this morning. We still have some green ink. It is starting to slip a little bit down from where it was earlier, but we'll see what happens by the end of the day. It's a Friday too, right?
And that's right. We're going to take some money off the table at the end of the day, generally, anyway, on Friday. I did the math, and NVIDIA, the chip maker and video card maker that's gotten heavy into artificial intelligence, closed yesterday at a $1.67 trillion market cap. And I was flippantly saying when we first got on the phone this morning, gosh, all Apple needs is a little bit of rotten iPhone news or something and some tidbit to come out, and NVIDIA could be as big as Apple before we know it. That's scary when all they do is make chips and video cards, right?
It doesn't take much some days.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And another thing that kind of brought things up was we had a couple of renegades from the Federal Reserve on the rubber chicken circuit yesterday. Now, the Philadelphia Fed President Patrick Harker doesn't have a vote on the open market committee that sets interest rates, but that doesn't mean he doesn't get free food for delivering an address. And he said that interest rate cuts are near. The other Fed chair that was out, the vice chairman, he does have a vote, and he actually said that he expected interest rate cuts to come later on this year. All of those kind of go 90 degrees against where the Fed minutes were on Wednesday afternoon when they released those, and that certainly didn't hurt the markets any yesterday, I assume.
No, it didn't hurt at all. And you're right. I mean, we still see the mixed bag when it comes to when interest rates will get cut. And I think we continue to see good news coming for the economy, including inflation going up, because that ends up being part of it's the bad news, but it's part of the good things happening. So when that happens, I just got to believe that we're a little further down the road than we think before interest rate cuts really start to take place.
And may very well is a possibility of that. Other tidbits out this morning on a day that really doesn't have a lot of federal data dump going on it. Reddit, the people that we kind of poke fun at periodically because of that stock brokerage bulletin board they got running that takes on a stock and causes misery on the markets, they're going to do an IPO. We get one more publicly traded social network out there. Does that thrill you as much as it doesn't me?
Hey, it is what it is, you know. We'll see how it comes out and what ends up happening with that one. It's yeah, I read a little thing where they're talking about offering it to users. You know, we'll see how that all pans out.
Yeah, the report that I saw earlier was that they were going to give first call on the IPO to their subscribers and users. Boy, the Reddit boys on that market board ought to really go over big with that one, won't they?
Yeah, exactly. So, hey, the other economic point we had that came out yesterday after you and I talked was existing home sales. They were up by just a little bit and in line with expectations, but I think it's the number we're talking about, 4 million existing home sales in the month of January. So, I mean, I think that's a good number, up from 3.9 the month before.
And we kind of needed some good news because last month's existing home sales numbers were a disappointment. So anything that gives a recovery indication to the housing market cannot hurt the marketplace the least little bit, can it?
No, it can't. And so that's some good news. We're still seeing some sales happening there.
Absolutely. The big news on the earnings, of course, then it's about the only headline I see coming across my news ticker, and they all relate to NVIDIA one way or the other. There are some other companies that are out there, among others, my favorite cartoon people, the Warner Brothers people reported. How did they do?
Hey, Warner Brothers was a little disappointing, Dave. They actually lost 16 cents per share. They were expected to lose about 7 cents a share, and they missed on revenue as well. Now, let's remember that we had the whole Hollywood strike of writers and film crews and that kind of stuff. So that put pressure on Warner Brothers this last quarter. They're actually getting beat up pretty bad today, Dave. They're down almost 8.5%.
In heavens, Elmer Fudd and Bugs Bunny are hiding in holes, right?
Exactly. Hey, but we did have some other big names that reported as well. We had the likes of Book Holdings, which is the Priceline, basically. They had a good quarter, that better than expected earnings and revenue. However, they gave some weaker guidance than expected when it comes to gross bookings and EBITDA earnings for this next quarter. And so they're trading down a little over 6.5% this morning before we get going.
Are they expecting that to be a whole sector thing, the travel industry? They're expecting to slow down?
I didn't see that doesn't tend to be what we saw in some of the other travel companies. So I don't know.
That's why I was asking, because they would be kind of an outlier if they expected travel to slow down, because everybody else says it's gangbusters for the moment, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. At this point, it still seems to be a strong sector in the economy. Then we had Block report. Now, remember Block, that's the company called, most of us know them by Square. You know, you can use their credit card stuff pretty much anywhere out there. They came in at 45 cents a share. Now, one report didn't have anything to compare it to. I looked at another source I have, and that's a miss. They expected like 58 cents a share in earnings. And they beat on revenue, but not by a whole lot when it comes to their revenue number. And they issued some stronger than expected guidance for the full year. So that was some good news for them. They're trading up today 16%.
Cool. You can do one miss on one macro as long as your guidance is good, it sounds like.
Exactly. So, hey, the last one I have for you is one of the ones we like to make fun of every now and then, Dave. Carvana. The vending machine guys with the cars and the vending machine. So they actually had a not such a good quarter, but a good year. They actually reported a year of income, $450 million of income, versus the year before they lost $1.5 billion. So
that should be a pretty good turnaround on an annual basis, I think.
A pretty good deal there. They did miss on the current quarter, though, when it comes to earnings and revenue. But the whole year numbers got them up 26% this morning.
Take that happily down the line. Did they give any guidance? Do they expect the vending machines to continue?
They did not really give a lot of guidance, but they did get upgraded to outperform by one of the brokerage firms, and they are doing a lot to cut expenses and that type of stuff. They promised, and they're going to be able to pay back like $1 billion in debt this year, so that's helping them as well.
That helps. Resetting the table, barn burner day yesterday and all of the indexes. You could tell the money came out of the commodities because I'm seeing red ink on the commodity numbers and big green ink from yesterday on the stocks. How are we doing with those measures 45 minutes before we open today?
Hey, we've got green ink even as we start today. The Dow is up between 1/10 and 0.2%. The S&P 500 is right there with them, up almost, well, it's getting close to 0.2 now. And the NASDAQ 100 is up a little over 0.1%. The actual Russell 2000 is actually sagging about 0.1% this morning. So on the other side, we've got silver down almost 0.1%, gold's up 0.3, and then crude oil, I believe it's higher than what it was yesterday, Dave, but it's down at 1.3% from the close. It's at $77.60 a barrel.
Okay, let's stay in under 78. I like a trading range. If the prices are too high, at the very least, keep it in a range for me. Overseas, the Asian Rim market, Japan is just absolutely having a party. Number one, we had a good day. Number two, they finally broke into some new territory. They were up over 2%. The rest of the Asian Rim market's up fractionally at the close at 6 a.m. Halfway through the European trading day, they're looking at us and saying, hey, cool. Overall, European markets are up about 0.5% midway through their trading day, with everybody pretty much up about the same kind of a quantity. Somebody want to figure out how to make sure they can capitalize on this if there's time, with the run-up that we're having, and getting the risk out for when that profit-taking sell-off happens. How do I find you to get that plan for my retirement?
Devin, give us a call at 863-382-0037 to schedule their core retirement analysis, where we'll make sure they're on the right path to the retirement they dreamed of. And then give us a call this weekend for the Statler Financial Radio Show, 6 a.m. and noon on Saturday, 10 a.m. Sunday morning, on Highlands News Talk 730, 95.3 FM.
And back here again Monday morning. We'll see you next week sometime, all right?
All right, man. Take care.
Thank you, sir. It's 105.7 Light FM and Statler Financial Services, Phillip Statler.
Do you actually read your financial statements?
Hey, folks, I want to thank you for joining us today. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. I look forward to speaking to you next week. Take care. Bye now.